will. At any rate, there are a number of things that we have to go over, so we'll try and be quick about it. I would like to at least introduce, see, we have some real big honchos here from Kodak. I got to take care of a few people here. But I would like to acknowledge Al Freimark, who is our regional director. Bill Curtis over at this table. Regional Sales Manager, U.S. Sales Division. Bill Semenko, one of my favorite guys.
Now, I'm really big at 220.
There you go. But I know some of you are confused about how this all fits in. Well, Bill Curtis covers the U.S. Sales Division, which is amateur photography, cameras, all that. And Bill Semenko covers the professional photography division, where Alkit seems to be growing. At any rate, I want to make sure we acknowledge everyone else. Floyd Caldwell, District Sales Manager. Next to him is John Barr. Steve Meehan. These are guys like me, down in the trenches, you know. We happen to have people once in a while like Roger Anderson, who used to be a technical sales rep like myself. Roger is now a regional staff member, so he calls people like me that he used to be road scum. So you can imagine how indignant we were when he got his promotion. At any rate, I'd also like to acknowledge Harold Stepney. And I think we covered it for Kodak, did we not?
Yourself.
Oh, I already
John Barr?
Oh, we got yes, John Barr. We got it. And it's really a reflection off of what we're here for tonight, because I almost had to stop people from coming from Kodak, because a lot of them wanted to be here to honor you this evening. And at any rate, obviously, we had to cut it off somewhere. 19, oh, thank you. If I have it correctly, we're talking about a photographic career spanning 53 years. And I had a crack, excuse me, but right here says it all. Who is that young guy over there, huh? Trade in your old horse for a pony camera. Well, the opening of Alkit camera correlates with the introduction of Kodachrome film. We had a film speed of 8 at that time. Now it's 200. I had a crack research committee go through a few things that were happening in the mid-30s. It wasn't a real pretty time in the history of the United States, obviously, coming off the Depression. But there are a few interesting tidbits of history we've culled from newspaper headlines. The last Marines leave Nicaragua, ending a long period of occupation. That's 1934.
We're about to go back.
Calvin Coolidge dies in Northampton, Massachusetts of natural causes. The first electric trains between New York and Philadelphia are put into action.
There's no room now on strike.
That's a Long Island.
February 2nd, the lame duck amendment is added to the Constitution. March 1st, the first bank holidays are declared in the United States in 6 states. On the 4th of March, Franklin Delano Roosevelt is inaugurated president. And that is the speech that he said, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." Around April 7th, 3.2% beer and wine is sold in New York City for the first time since the Prohibition laws. And 160,000 barrels of beer are consumed the first day in New York City. Primo Carrero knocked out Jack Shirley. Thank you. And that's coming from the guy that went to the wrong party. In the arts, the most popular song was It's Only a Paper Moon and Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Charles Laughton won an Oscar for his portrayal of Henry VIII. And Katharine Hepburn won her first Oscar for a role in Morning Glory. Best picture was Cavalcade. Perhaps make it a little even clearer, the price of bread at the time was 7 cents compared to $1.10 now. A gallon of milk was 42 cents, now it's $2.30. A pound of butter was 28 cents. A new Ford cost $541. And the average new home was $3,400.
How much was a Kodak camera?
Don't start with me.
$622.
Mr. Burke,
Yes.
Mr. Burke, I enjoy your chronology, but you left out one of the most important events that took place in the 1930s. In July of 1937, Alfred Slesinger gave me my first job at $10 a week.
Okay. At any rate, the Dow Jones was at 90. Gold was $20 an ounce. Silver was 35 cents an ounce. Boy, would Kodak like to see those days. Pound of copper, 7 cents. Roosevelt was president. As a matter of fact, you mentioned the Rose Bowl earlier. On January 1st, USC defeated Pittsburgh 35-0 in the 18th annual Rose Bowl at the time. Another interesting thing is that the average life expectancy at that time in the 30s was about 59 years. And they increased it 10 years over the turn of the century, from 49 to 59. We've come a long way, Mr. Slesinger. I want to throw one extra thing in here, and that is that I've only been on this account 3 years this time, but I've learned a heck of a lot from Alfred Slesinger about ethics and about the proper conduct of business. And that's no BS. Honest to goodness. I thank you.
I have my dear friend who could be a witness right over here, Dick Harvey's. I found time to work in Metropolitan Opera as an extra, as a super. This is 49 years that I'm doing this.
Oh, no.
49 years. And I'm still at it.
Oh.
As a witness.
I'll play piano. Maybe you could sing a few bars. A few arias. Okay, all right. Man. At any rate, I just wanted to lend a little perspective. It's your company's meant a lot to us, and that's why we choose to honor you here tonight. It's something that we don't normally do. I might add, it was probably one of the easiest proposals I have gotten through management since I've been with Kodak. I want to just end on one quick thing, and that's, as we've looked at the past, we must also look to the future.
A rose by any other name is still a rose. Al Slesinger answers to 5 names: Dad, Mr. S, Poppy Al, Bozo Donati, I hope I pronounced it right,
Yes,
and Alfred Lazarevich, which is his Russian name. To me, Al has been both Dad and Mr. S. Dad at home and Mr. S in business. Mr. S was quick to break me into his business. 23 years ago, I started my career with Alkit. After 2 weeks of working behind the counter, I informed Mr. S that I was ready to take over his business. He was totally reticent. A few days later, this fully seasoned salesman was trying to sell a carousel projector to a customer. Into my second hour of the sale, Al, who had been observing this marathon of a sale, bent over and whispered into my ear, "We close at 6:30. Subtle, but I got the point. I then realized that perhaps it would take another 2 weeks to master the industry. Dad is quite proud that his father, who was a prominent and respected doctor in Russia, left him a very good name. And this is very important to my father-in-law. I am just as proud that Al has left me his good name, Alfred. I hope to make you proud that I carry on the tradition of Alfred. For all of you that know Al, I congratulate him and thank him for all he has done for the industry, myself, my family, and his friends. I love you, Pop.
The third member of the trio, Stephen Buckbinder.
Try to keep in mind that we were 250 miles apart when we wrote our speech. To my grandfather. I began working for Alkit Camera 7 years ago during the summer of 1980. At 14 years of age, I was no longer to refer to my grandfather as Poppy, but as Mr. S. Even stranger was referring to my own father as Eddie B. From my grandfather, I learned what he feels is most important in this business. We are service-oriented. Be kind to our patrons so that they will want to come back to us. It is by this rule, I feel, that my grandfather built his business. In addition to being my role model in business, I'm fortunate enough to know him personally. My grandfather is an endless source of amazing stories and witty jokes. He tells me of his life in the Soviet Union, his travels circling the world many times over, his enjoyment of opera and the fine arts, and let's not forget the creation of his business. Through his lovable personality and never-tiring pen hand, he has come to know an endless list of famous artists, diplomats, and performers from all over the world. Notwithstanding, Eggy Peggy's on Sunday afternoons has become a ritual in our home. One of the greatest experiences of my life was the opportunity to visit the birthplace of my grandfather with the best tour guide in the world. Our trip to the Soviet Union exposed me to yet another side of my grandfather. And I sold a camera in the largest camera store in Moscow.
I'm a witness.
In August, I will be entering the company as a full-time employee. I am fortunate enough to have the opportunity of a place in a business that I love so very much. I will work hard to build what you have started so that one day I may give my grandson the same opportunity. Few people could ever have as much love and admiration for their parents and grandparents as I have for mine. I want now to thank my grandfather Alfred and my grandmother Kitty for the years of love that they have given me. As the third generation enters Alkit, I hope that we can make you proud of us. And this picture, I wish if it had been taken a few years later, that it could have my brother David and my sister Hildy in it as well, because they will, I'm sure, be there in a few years.
This is my opportunity to thank Eastman Kodak Company. Out of my heart. It's a wonderful surprise, and I'm very grateful to you. Next to that, because I thank my wife, I thank my daughter and my son-in-law for giving me giving me three most wonderful grandchildren. I'm very, very proud of my family.
We have a special presentation for you. Two of your dearest friends, and Lori will read the presentation for you.
Before I do this, I would also like to thank all our family, friends, and especially Kodak. You gentlemen have been wonderful. You have made an evening for my father and for all of us, which we will treasure forever and ever, and I thank you so very much. There are two people who sent letters tonight when they heard about this occasion, and I would like to read them to you. First one, I'll save the name for the end. Dear Alfred, tonight you are honored by Kodak, an honor richly merited for services to the industry. But may I add that were you to be honored for services to friends, the list of those eager to praise you would be endless. You never lose your loyalty and affectionate devotion to so many in different places in the world. That humanism and thoughtfulness reflects your work as a businessman and adds luster and scope to your honor this evening. From Isaac Stern.
Nothing from Maria Collins?
We have a seance later.
Dear Alfred, congratulations on your retirement after 53 dedicated years in the photographic industry, of which the past 20 years have been at Alfred. Yours has been a life of accomplishment and pride in your work, in your citizenship, and in your loyalty and warmth to friends. I'm glad to know you will maintain an office at Alfred, as your counsel and judgment, I am sure, will always be sought. Francis joins me in sending you and Kitty our warmest good wishes for continued health and happiness for many, many years. Most sincerely, Arm and Hammer.
That you're a beautiful person, and everybody looks up to you, and I've really learned a lot from you, and in the years to come, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. But if I'll end up in the business, which I know I'll always have to fall back on, I haven't worked in a store much, but I have learned a lot from you. And over the last vacation, I was fortunate enough to work in the store for a day. And,
He's seasoned like his father is.
and I was in there for about an hour, and after I was in there for an hour, and my grandfather was already dragging me out to breakfast before it already started. And it was it was so special. I had the greatest talk with my grandfather, and it really meant a lot to me. And I saw how special my grandfather was, and what he had to say to me just meant so much to me. And I just wish that if I end up working in the store, that my grandfather will see that I learned so much from him, and that he's just the greatest person.
You have credit overdue.
Sarah and I, Sarah, my wife, are old and loyal friends of Alfred, and we want to congratulate you and tell you of our admiration. And we also would like to say that Al's real treasure in our kit is Kitty Slesinger, and she really should stand up and take it down. Al-Kit comes from Al and Kitty. And, you know, there's a sixth name that nobody's mentioned. And it's Don Alfredo, and that's how I know him. And Don Alfredo, and I want you all to know that Al's treasure is Kitty and his family. And as a customer, not as a friend, I can never forget going into Al-Kit, and there's Kitty with the cash register, and the tape's in between these fingers, and the cash between these fingers. And Alfred, where are you? He's at the opera. And they're the love of our lives, and we admire them very, very much. Both Kitty and Al. Thank you.
It's true, if I'm not in the store, I'm in the opera.
Okay, all right, so it wasn't the best aria you've ever heard. At any rate, I would like to... What? Okay, the worst. I'd like to introduce Al Frymark, real big cheese, who is our Kodak Regional Director here in New York City.
You can do anything you want.
Yeah, but I have to spill about this. Besides,
You
you
know,
have to stay next to you.
I don't know how you feel about this evening, but I have no idea what I'm going to say. I know what I want to say. But there's a dimension here in a business and a friendship that you don't often have the pleasure of seeing or sharing. Business has changed an awful lot since this young fella next to me started. And in those days, we probably took more time to do things like this. In today's world, it's an exception. I find it hard to speak to the Kodak people here because they could all express it very well themselves. And if you think of just a few Kodak people that are here tonight, imagine how many others this man brought along. And he has touched the lives of many, many people. I heard words this evening like loyalty came out. This guy, when I first met him, in 1 minute I knew he had as much yellow blood in him, which is an anachronism that we use at Kodak for expressing loyalty, as anybody who worked for the Kodak company. And that, I've never lost that feeling about him. I heard a word this evening, ethics, I heard you mention. A word that sometimes doesn't take as much meaning today as it once meant, or sometimes is looked upon with a smirk in business today, sometimes particularly in New York. But the manner in which he conducted his business, the word ethics still comes out very loud and clear. And I have a very strong feeling that of all the things you might give up, ethics would be one of the very last. And when you boil it all out, there's probably a word that says from your grandchildren to your wife to the Kodak people that are here, that the word respect probably is the strongest one word I know how to express how we feel about you. We meet a lot of customers, some of which we have to deal with, some of which we want to deal with. And believe me, my friend, this is not a business meeting. This is one of a lot of people who feel honored to share anything like this with you. And we thank you for making our business a pleasure and giving it a dimension that we don't see very often. And we all love you very much.
Thank you.
Like that.
We have,
Looks like Afikoman from
there's so many dimensions to what this gentleman's all about that it would be inappropriate if we didn't share it, if I could open up the box, a little photographically. We went from the pony camera in we figured out it was 1954, Medalist, to the Medalist camera, and it's a name you've known for many years. And now this is not just a Medalist camera. If I can get it out of here. This Medalist, where is the inscription?
It's right on the side there, looking. On the front?
On the front.
That's the front right there. Part. That's the front. That's the
He's nervous.
That's the front now. With the lenses.
I cannot sell.
I can But neither one are important, are they? Personalized Al to you. And this is our way of saying thanks
I
for
really
that element.
appreciate it.
Now, we're not finished. We have one other. In this big city, you epitomize an awful lot of things in photography, and we think of you in that manner. But the city is also known in many other ways. So this is something, these are from all of us at Kodak, not just those here tonight, but a lot of them that wish they could be here. So I'd like you to open that.
It's very quiet. Even if
Your light is not very bright.
A butter knife doesn't work, Al.
Very heavy.
$1 million to find out.
Where's Don Pardo?
What do you need?
Not tied, a little sack.
Getting there.
Very well.
How can you do it? He's so touched. It's hard to open it.
We felt, Al,
Afraid to get it.
Yeah,
That's gorgeous.
that there was no other way of us expressing our feelings.
Oh,
Than a scuba apple. And to place the apple on so that you'll remember, and boy, I do need the lights on here now.
I'll tell you what.
And your friends can share it with you.
It's a light.
Yeah, there it is.
I hope you have 1,000.
Oh,
I hope you have 1,000 film.
No, and I don't need it for this. I have a flash too. You know, you use, squeeze the stuff.
I didn't see it.
And this is presented to Alfred Slesinger. Boy. Yeah. In recognition for his many years of service to the industry and an appreciation from his many friends at the Eastman Kodak Company. And that is a
Thank you. You're one of my artists. Thank you.
Do you have a job for me in your organization?
You don't want a cook to run away with it. It's
Papa,
so-
your daughter,
Yes.
your granddaughter would like to say something too.
Oh.
Number 3 child.
Would you mind coming to the center where they can see you?
What's up, bud? Whatever I do, I want to be just as successful as you are. I love you.
Three wonderful friends, I'm proud.
Anyone who wants to? There you go.
No Irish coffee, just
Oh, come on now. Come on, Lassie. Come on, you can have it.
Oh, it's very that cheese.
Al's very, very dear friend from the Metropolitan. One of the things that Dick does besides working the Metropolitan is Dick makes batons for some of the world's finest maestros. And Dick has made one especially for Al and dedicated to Al, and I shall read it for you.